We now find ourselves in part 4 regarding the topic becoming the master in both worlds. We find ourselves addressing the concept of as above, so below. It is world 2, the ethereal, which now enters the picture. It is now the ethereal which provides us with a greater in-depth insight into the dynamics of one's true essence, of one's I. The phrase as above, so below gives us only half of the meaning of that phrase. The actual text of that maxim, as translated by Dennis W. Hawk from the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, is that which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below. Understanding that the phrase as above, so below has its symmetrical phrase of being as below, so above. In other words, a form of mirror image exists in how it is that one's I, one's soul, relates to the physical, can be applied to how one's I or one's soul relates to the ethereal. This is a very important understanding for one to obtain. For as one reaches to become a level 4, and then becomes a level 4, one is able to become the master of one's journey within the physical, the master over the thousands of egos vying for our attention from the physical world. This applies directly to the ethereal. For as one gains level 4, finds one's I, releases one's soul, one not only becomes the master in the physical, one becomes the master of one's journey in the ethereal, in eternity itself. Now the significance of becoming a level 4, the significance of putting all that energy into becoming a level 4, into finding one's I, into releasing the true essence of oneself, becomes not just significant, but becomes very, very significant. For the significance lies in how it is our eternal existence changes. Once again, we are brought back to the concept of as above, so below, and as below, so above. Once again, we are confronted with the significance of one existing within a state of sleep, for remaining asleep within the physical, within time, within the world of mortality, leaves one asleep within the ethereal, within timelessness, within the world of immortality. We are now going to place into the diagram of the whole of reality the concept of as above, so below, and as below, so above, as it applies to the individual. The black rectangle is the silence, is the location within which we go as we attempt to find our I and release our true essence into becoming the master of the journey in physical one. We have talked about this in great detail. Now we are going to look at how it is the below applies to the above. And the above is demonstrated in the diagram as the black region, which is the silence once again, and the white square at the top of the black rectangle. I'm going to pause here to show 3 examples of science beginning to validate the concept of 2 worlds and what the second world is composed of. I'm going to give a 5-second pause for each of the 3 examples. Obviously, 5 seconds will not be enough time for you to read the examples, but it will give you enough time to hit the pause button if you wish to do so, if you wish to read the examples. Example 1. Example 2. Example 3. Knowledge, information, becomes a principal aspect of reality as viewed by scientific theorists. Understanding becomes a second critical element necessary for comprehending reality. Without understanding, knowledge has no significance. And what is necessary for both knowledge and understanding to have any significance? Knowing, the ability to know, becomes a significant aspect of reality. Thus, knowing becomes the third critical element for complete comprehension of the whole of reality. We now have 3 of the 6 regions demonstrated by the 6-sided star, Solomon's seal. We have the whole of the ethereal, the eternally unchanging, and discrete sparks of knowing. Items 1 through 3 all deal with the ethereal, with knowing. 1 through 3, along with 3 complementary worlds of the physical, that is, number 4, our physical world, the 5th region, the void, the silence, and the 6th region, the library of knowledge, will be examined in detail in topic 9, as will the potential for the accessibility of these 6 worlds to level 4s, to individuals number 4. What does it mean to be a level 1 sub E, 2 sub E, and 3 sub E? What does it mean to be an individual number 1 in the ethereal, an individual number 2 in the ethereal, and an individual number 3 in the ethereal? As individual number 1 in the physical is level 1 within the physical world, represents the sensory egos in the physical, so too individual number 1 in the ethereal is the level 1 in the ethereal, represents the sensory egos in the divine. The level 1 sub P individual is a machine with no master, is a machine made up only of the carriage, is a machine which has no horse, no driver, no master, is a confused slave. The individual 1 sub P in the physical is an individual immersed within the obsession towards the acquisition of physical pleasures, controlled by physical influence. The 1 sub E individual, the individual number 1 in the ethereal, is an individual immersed within an obsession towards the acquisition of ethereal pleasures, controlled by ethereal influences, controlled by the thousands of ethereal egos. The 1 sub E is an individual whose divine body has control over one's existence within the ethereal. As 2 sub P is level 2, is individual number 2 within the physical, represents the emotional egos in the physical, so too 2 sub E is the level 2 in the ethereal, is the individual number 2 in the ethereal, is the soul in the ethereal, which is obsessed with the emotional egos in the divine. The number 2 individual sub P, this is an individual, is a machine with no master, is a machine made up only of the horse and the carriage, is a divine body controlled by emotions and sensual desires regarding the ethereal, regarding the divine. The overpowering love or anger within the divine is no less debilitating to one's essence than is the overpowering love or anger within the physical. Some would suggest being the master of one's all-obsessive infatuation within the divine is a statement of heresy. But how can it be heresy to suggest one knows and that one understands infatuation with the divine, to willingly experience the astounding emotion generating influence of the divine, to take through control of one's own free will to be an obedient servant of the higher, as opposed to interacting with a higher through the shackles of slavery, be it in the state of confusion or not in a state of confusion. As 3 sub P is level 3, individual number 3 within the physical, represents the mental egos in the physical, so too 3 sub E is the level 3, individual number 3 in the ethereal, represents the mental egos in the divine. The level 3E individual is a thinker with no master, is a machine made up only of the carriage, horse, and driver, is a divine body controlled by rationality, emotions, and sensual desires regarding the ethereal, regarding the divine. The individual 3 sub E, this individual is in the ethereal and is as much asleep in the ethereal as the level 3P is asleep in the physical. As one must reach level 4 to master one's physical machine, to awaken, so too one must reach level 4 to master one's divine machine, to awaken to the ethereal. Level 4 is level 4 and remains the same for mastering the physical machine as it does for mastering the divine ethereal machine. As awakening in terms of the physical machine takes a form of focus, dedication to the task, so too awakening in terms of the ethereal machine takes a form of focus and dedication to the task. While Awakening in terms of one's journey in the physical takes a tremendous amount of work, dedication, and time. Once having awakened, one is awake. The significance of having awakened means one is awake, and being awake, one has but to wish to be awake in the ethereal in order to be awake in the ethereal. Time, energy, effort, dedication, continually climbing and sliding down, climbing and sliding down, climbing and sliding down the stairway leading up to the state of awakening, are no longer an issue for those who have finally accomplished the task of awakening in the physical, and therefore do not apply to the process of awakening in the ethereal. To wish to be awake in the ethereal is all it takes for the individual awake in the physical to also be awake in the ethereal. The question now becomes, once stepping into the ethereal, is it an easy process of awakening in the ethereal? Is it an easy process of being the master of oneself, once experiencing the breathtaking spirituality of the environment of the divine? The answer is, of course, it's not easy to awaken once experiencing World 2, once experiencing the divine. To awaken in the divine, one must wish to do so in order to do so. In the next part of Topic 7, Part 5, we will discuss why it is difficult to be awake in the ethereal if all it takes is that one wish to be awake in the ethereal.